circle back to the Olympics. A lot of Olympians maybe have a chance to only experience one Olympics. You've been to two, so Athens and Beijing. Let's just compare and contrast your experience there, with both of those, maybe some differences. I'm sure the first one was probably a little bit more of a whirlwind, but then the second one, you're able to kind of sit in and say, okay, I've been here before. Just kind of talk about the two experiences, the differences between, the two events, the two cities.
Yeah, I mean, the first Olympics, when you go and you walk in the opening ceremonies, I think you've had other athletes mention that, like, how life-changing that is. And it doesn't matter like how, pro-America or anti-America, whatever you are, when you walk in representing sort of the diversity of our country and you see it in the athletes that come in, in the different sports, it's such a proud moment because you realize like all the people in your country, what they've sacrificed for your country to have the freedoms that it does and be what it is. So a lot of that melts away, and you just feel like one unified thing. So I wish we had more of that as a country. And I wish somehow other people could experience that. There's a way that you could feel the chill bumps you get on the back of your neck walking in to represent at the Olympics. It's this heightened competition where the world is literally pushing each other to a higher level. Even the Dalai Lama said competition is good because, if it's done fairly and ethically or responsibly, you're actually making the people around you better. And so that's the whole point is as a global, group of human beings, we're trying to push to a higher state. And it makes me sad to see the Olympics sort of devolve into doping and what happened to cycling and controversy. When in reality, 99.9% of the athletes that are there are just so overjoyed. And for me too, to see friends who were, Kenyan born athletes become US citizens and now represent the United States in the steeplechase. It's amazing to see because you can see when they become a US citizen, the change in their thought process and how they work and race, where there's this sort of awesome pride, to have earned that. So it's, I think Athens was the first experience of that, but to do it where you're walking through the Olympic Village, you look down on the ground and you see these broken pots that have been there for thousands of years. And you realize that your Olympic Village is built over this huge, remnant of the cradle of democracy, and that all these ideas and freedoms that the United States has were born out of there. And it's the birthplace of Olympics, which isn't a coincidence. Those two things sort of dovetail the way athletics helps us work and function societally, universally, globally. For that to get messed up through doping and cheating and, the scandals that happened with Russia, it's sort of really disheartened me going into the 2008 Olympics because I assumed the guys I was going to race, I just had to assume they were going to be doping. So there's always this, excitement and joy of knowing you've made it to that level, but the disappointment to know that if you want a medal, it's going to be probably just out of reach. You'll get really close. I have a sculpture in my show where there's I don't know if you can still see me on Zoom, but I have this fake Tokyo 2020 Olympic gold medal. Looks super, super real. In art, they call it the ready-made. So this is going to be an interactive piece of my art show where you have to stick your hand through this hole in the wall, and if you grab it, you can have it, but it's just out of reach. It's like right there. You can almost get it, and the way the hole is designed, you can't wiggle your arm. You guys probably won't air this till after the installation, so I give you an idea of how the piece will work. You'll see a sign that says you can look through, and it's say if you grab it, you can have it. And obviously it's going to be out of reach, but I will quietly leave a stick in the corner where that hole is. And I want to see how long it takes for someone to use the stick to take it and cheat. How long it will take because it's human nature. It doesn't matter if it's Wall Street, someone's going to take shortcuts. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, whatever business people are in. But the Olympics is it's supposed to be the representative microcosm of how we should be in society. So when distance running and just, Olympic sport in general started to get tainted in the early 2000s with EPO and these other designer drugs, I knew it was a matter of time before society went in that direction where it was sort of by all means necessary in terms of, you look at how companies have functioned ethically and not ethically, and the way that, people would just sort of say whatever they need to say to get what they need to get. And so that's why my installation of paintings were called Truth Decay, because I was always struggling with, if I just doped and used a small little vial of stuff, I'd be the best guy, because I was beating those guys before I knew they were cheating, because some of them admitted to me that they were cheating, especially international steeplechasers. I won't say what countries. And so I never wanted to be that guy. It was always about me seeing how good I could be on my own and really find out like how deep the well was. So to taint the well didn't make any sense to me, but I was always wrestling with knowing that the superstars and the people that we see who get the medals are a lot of them phony, And I think the reason that the sentiment is the way that it is right now for the Olympics has a lot to do with that, a lot to do with having to see so many cheaters get caught. You really don't believe the performances you see anymore. So how are you going to have that magical moment if you think it's artificial? If you know the secret behind the trick, right?
Right. It's about, like you said, maximizing your own potential naturally. I think that's very important.
Yeah. So going into Beijing, I worked really hard for 4 years to go back there, and didn't make any of the same mistakes. I front run the entire prelim, and I was ahead of the returning gold and silver medalists, and I looked amazing. I got to the press and I was talking. I had a massive tightness in my chest and chest pain. I thought I was having a heart attack, and they said it was an asthma attack. And I couldn't take therapeutic use exemption medication because I didn't have a TUE, because I didn't have asthma as a diagnosis. Sure. So the environment that I had no control over affected my running. So that's when I realized like how bad things were in terms of, global pollution. I think, in my opinion, global warming is one thing, wherever you want to go with that, global pollution is undeniable.